Amid the glittering lights and soaring ambitions of late 19th century New York, one structure towered above the rest, the second Madison Square Garden. Designed by the flamboyant architect Stanford White, this palace of pleasure was not just a building, it was the heartbeat of a city racing toward modernity. And its grand halls echoed with the cheers of boxing enthusiasts, the applause for world-class orchestras, and the whispers of society's elite mingling with everyday New Yorkers under one opulent roof. Furthermore, the garden's iconic tower pierced the Manhattan skyline, a beacon of culture and entertainment that promised excitement within its walls. But beneath the gilded façade, shadows loomed. Scandals whispered through its lavish corridors, and fate plotted a dramatic twist that would shock the nation. In today's episode, we'll share how such a monument to architectural brilliance could meet an untimely destruction as we uncover why New York destroyed its most iconic stadium. In the late 19th century, the second incarnation of Madison Square Garden stood as the apex of New York City's entertainment scene. Completed in 1890, the second garden swiftly became a magnet for events that captivated both the city's elite and its working class. Boxing matches drew spirited crowds, with legendary fighters trading blows in the ring, and the annual horse show was a social highlight, attracting New York's finest in their most elegant attire. Galas and balls transformed the venue into a spectacle of glittering gowns and tuxedos, while circus performances delighted audiences of all ages. However, the garden's versatility didn't stop there. It hosted presidential rallies where candidates wooed New York's influential voters. Concerts featuring esteemed orchestras and popular musicians echoed through its halls, while groundbreaking cultural events pushed the boundaries of art and entertainment. Indeed, the venue's ability to effortlessly shift from sporting events to highbrow affairs made it a true microcosm of the city's vibrant public life. And as the Gilded Age reached its peak, Madison Square Garden became more than just a venue. It was a symbol of New York's emergence as a world-class city. It indeed served as a gathering place where different social strata could mingle, albeit often from separate sections. It was the place to see and be seen, where socialites brushed shoulders with sports fans and culture enthusiasts. And the iconic tower, designed by Stanford White, became a landmark on the skyline, signaling to all that something exciting was always unfolding within its walls. Yet the garden's significance extended beyond mere entertainment. It was a catalyst for social interaction, a place where ideas were exchanged and business deals were sealed. Politicians, financiers, and cultural influencers all recognized the power of being associated with events at the garden. Notably, the venue attracted some of the most prominent figures of the Gilded Age. Theodore Roosevelt, then a rising political luminary, was a frequent visitor, often attending boxing matches and other sporting events. And his presence lent respectability to the pugilistic arts and helped cement the garden's reputation as a place where high society intersected with the working class. Andrew Carnegie, one of America's wealthiest men and a key investor in the garden's construction, was often spotted in the luxury boxes, surveying the spectacles below with a discerning eye. His patronage extended to the concert hall, where he hosted lavish gatherings for New York's cultural elite. P.T. Barnum, the legendary showman, brought his circus to the garden annually, drawing crowds from all walks of life and turning the arena into a true melting pot of society. Moreover, the garden's ability to attract such diverse crowds was part of its allure. And on any given night, one might find J.P. Morgan discussing business in a quiet corner, while famous entertainers like Sarah Bernhardt or Lillian Russell prepared for their performances. Athletes like John L. Sullivan, the heavyweight boxing champion, drew enthusiastic audiences and added to the garden's reputation as the premier sporting venue in the country. Furthermore, Madison Square Garden became a crucible for the formation of New York's unique cultural identity. It was a place where the city's love for spectacle, appreciation for athletic prowess, and penchant for social mixing all converged. The garden's ability to draw both the elite and the masses under one roof reflected New York's democratic spirit and its role as a city of opportunity. But how did one of the first public entertainment arenas in America first emerge from the crucible of wealth and woe that was the Gilded Age? To get our answer, let's flip over to the next chapter and find out. In the late 19th century, as New York City swaggered onto the global stage, a group of ambitious moguls decided the metropolis needed a venue as grand as its aspirations. Here, we meet Madison Square Garden, a project that would transform a former railroad depot into a palatial hub of entertainment and culture. While investors certainly anticipated hefty returns from year-round crowds, the social stakes were equally compelling. And the vision was to create a space where Wall Street tycoons could mingle with Broadway stars and everyday New Yorkers, blending high society with the masses in a uniquely New York fashion. But for such lofty ambitions, they needed an architect with equal flair. The choice fell on Stanford White, the flamboyant partner of the esteemed firm McKim, Mead & White. Known for his penchant for beaux-arts opulence and a certain dramatic touch, White was just the man to bring this dream to life. And, as we'll see later on, meet the end of his own. But at this time, White's design was nothing short of audacious. Drawing inspiration from the Giralda Tower in Seville, he proposed a minaret that would pierce the Manhattan skyline, soaring 32 stories above the streets, a bold statement for a city reaching ever skyward. The exterior married Renaissance elegance with Moorish exotica, ensuring the garden would stand out amidst the city's burgeoning architecture. And inside, White didn't skimp on spectacle. The main hall stretched 200 by 350 feet, making it the largest in the world at the time, capable of seating 8,000 spectators with room for thousands more. Now, the interiors dripped with opulence, ornate details, luxurious materials, and cutting-edge amenities that reflected New York's growing wealth and confidence. Of course, such grandeur came at a price. The project carried a cost of $3 million, a staggering sum equivalent to about $101 million today. And the financing required the deep pockets of a syndicate including J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, and P.T. Barnum. But securing the land wasn't simple either. The site was already occupied by the first version of Madison Square Garden. Demolishing the existing structure raised eyebrows, but was deemed necessary to birth the new colossus. As construction commenced, New Yorkers watched with a mix of skepticism and excitement. Over 1,000 laborers toiled relentlessly, day and night, to transform architect Stanford White's audacious vision of Madison Square Garden into reality. And the construction timeline was, to say the least, ambitious. Completing the entire project in just 1 year wasn't merely a goal but an economic necessity, driven by the pressure to miss no more than a single season of shows. This whirlwind pace showcased the organizational prowess of the builders and the substantial resources at their disposal. Then, on the 6th of June 1890, Madison Square Garden flung open its doors in a grand ceremony that captivated the city. The opening night was nothing short of spectacular, with New York's elite turning out en masse to witness the unveiling of what swiftly earned the moniker Palace of Pleasure. Drawing a crowd of 12,000, including the city's elite 400, attendees gathered to hear Edward Strauss and his Vienna Orchestra. This inaugural concert didn't just entertain, it cemented the garden's ability to attract top-tier talent and discerning audiences, making it the place to see and be seen. The roof garden, a novel feature at the time, opened to the public, offering breathtaking city views and becoming an instant sensation among the social set. Thus, Madison Square Garden's opening signaled a new era in New York's cultural life. It rapidly became the epicenter of the city's entertainment scene, hosting everything from boxing matches and circuses to concerts and balls. And the media reaction was nothing short of effusive. Newspapers and magazines hailed the venue as a marvel of modern architecture and a symbol of New York's bright future. The press lavished praise on White's design, particularly the striking tower modelled after the Giralda, which instantly became a skyline landmark. Journalists marvelled at the garden's grand scale and adaptability, highlighting its capacity to host a wide array of events, from sporting competitions to high society galas. The New York Times dubbed it the most complete amusement building in the world, while other publications applauded its luxurious amenities and state-of-the-art facilities. The media positioned Madison Square Garden as a symbol of New York's ascent to world-class metropolis status, rivaling Europe's great cities in culture and entertainment. In the aftermath, Madison Square Garden quickly became the heartbeat of New York's public life, hosting events that drew massive crowds. The annual horse show attracted society's finest in their most elegant attire, and boxing matches featuring legendary fighters filled the arena with enthusiastic fans, while circus performances delighted audiences of all ages. Additionally, the garden's versatility shone as it hosted presidential rallies, where candidates sought to sway influential voters. Concerts featuring renowned orchestras resonated through its halls, while groundbreaking cultural events pushed artistic boundaries. These early happenings solidified Madison Square Garden's reputation as a venue that could effortlessly transition from sporting events to highbrow affairs, truly embodying the spirit of New York City. Yet, as the century unfolded, the garden itself would begin to lose its luster, almost instantly, after a heinous crime involving architect Stanford White happened within its walls. Madison Square Garden, once the crown jewel of New York's entertainment scene, started to fade as the 20th century dawned, seemingly in an instant after its fate took a shocking twist on the 25th of June, 1906. It was on this hot summer night that the building's renowned architect, Stanford White, was brutally murdered on the rooftop of the very restaurant he had elegantly crafted. You see, in 1901, White had crossed paths with the wildly famous screen vixen Evelyn Nesbit, a young beauty seeking her place among the city's elite artists and photographers. And with the blessing of Nesbit's mother, he became her mentor, aiding her ascent in New York society. Yet, their relationship took a dark turn. 5 years later, Nesbit testified that White had invited her to his apartment for dinner, plied her with champagne, and perhaps something stronger, and then assaulted her in an improper manner, if you get our drift, after she lost consciousness. Even more shockingly, she was merely 16. He was 48. Despite this harrowing event, the two remained romantically entangled for at least 6 more months, acting as lovers and companions. Though their romantic involvement waned over time, they continued to interact amicably in social circles. Enter Harry Kendall Thor, a Pittsburgh millionaire with a turbulent mental history. Marrying Nesbit in 1905, well after the beginning of the trysts of Evelyn and Stanford White, Thor harbored a deep envy of White's societal standing and viewed him as a nemesis. And White, for his part, dismissed Thor as inconsequential, labeling him the Pennsylvania Pug, a jab at his youthful appearance. On that fateful evening, White dined at Martin's near Madison Square Garden, accompanied by New York socialite James Clinch Smith. Coincidentally, Thor and Nesbit were also present, and Thor reportedly spotted White. Later, during the finale of the show, Mam'zelle Champagne, titled "I Could Love a Million Girls," Thor approached White. Producing a pistol, he declared, "You've ruined my wife," and fired 3 shots from mere feet away. 2 bullets struck White in the face, 1 in the shoulder, killing him instantly. The audience initially mistook the murder for a theatrical stunt, but pandemonium erupted once the grim reality set in. White's son, 19-year-old Lawrence Grant White, was consumed by guilt over his father's death, lamenting, "If only he had gone to Philadelphia." Years later, he reflected bitterly on the event, decrying the crazed profligate whose great wealth was used to besmirch his victim's memory during the series of notorious trials that ensued. Yet, contrary to his account, White was shot from the front, not from behind. Then, the press had a field day. William Randolph Hearst's newspapers sensationalized the story, and the ensuing legal battle was dubbed the trial of the century. White's reputation took a severe hit as sordid details of his private life emerged. The Evening Standard condemned his social dissolution, while Vanity Fair blared the headline, "Stanford White, voluptuary and pervert, dies the death of a dog." The Nation re-evaluated his architectural legacy with scorn, accusing him of adorning American mansions with irrelevant plunder. Trial transcripts painted White as a man who forsook noble endeavors for debauched revelry. Subsequently, Thor faced 2 murder trials. The first ended in a hung jury, the second concluded with a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity. This scandalous saga cast a long shadow over Madison Square Garden, signaling the onset of its demise. Thus, as the years marched on, the garden grappled with mounting challenges. Its once state-of-the-art facilities began to feel antiquated, and maintenance costs soared. The beaux-arts grandeur that epitomized 1890s chic now seemed both outdated and impractical. Moreover, the city's heartbeat was migrating northward, leaving the garden's location less than ideal. Additionally, the public's entertainment palette was evolving. The advent of motion pictures and radio offered new diversions that siphoned attention and dollars away from traditional venues. Therefore, the garden's vast halls, designed for grand spectacles, didn't adapt well to these more intimate forms of amusement. Simultaneously, modern venues sprouted across the city, boasting amenities that the aging garden couldn't compete with. Furthermore, financial woes compounded. The New York Life Insurance Company, holding the building's mortgage, pondered alternative uses for the prime real estate. Plans to erect a new headquarters on the site spelled the beginning of the end for the storied arena. Then, the curtain fell in 1925 when the decision was made to close and demolish the garden. Its final hurrah was the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, a fitting nod to a long-standing tradition. As wrecking balls swung in 1926, New Yorkers bid adieu to a landmark that had been central to the city's social and cultural tapestry for over 3 decades. Rising from the ashes was the New York Life Building, a 34-story neo-Gothic skyscraper crafted by Cass Gilbert. Completed in 1928, it quickly became an icon, its golden pyramid roof adding a new gleam to the skyline. This edifice symbolized the growing might of corporate America and the insurance industry's influence on urban landscapes. While the new Madison Square Garden found a home uptown, continuing its predecessor's legacy, the soul of New York's entertainment district had irreversibly migrated north, forever altering the character of the area once known as Madison Square. And now, we'd love to see you in the comments. Which building do you enjoy better? The Madison Square Garden version discussed in this video, or the New York Life Building that replaced it and still stands today? This is a tough one, for the New York Life Building is just as iconic as the second Madison Square Garden. We can't wait to hear your thoughts, and thanks again for joining us for another episode of Old Money Mansions. Cheers, until next time.